entire screen.
Okay, cool.
We'll try it.
All right, everybody. So thank you for tuning in this morning. We're going to do an overview of Google Hangouts Meet. Some of these things you may already know, but hopefully we're able to teach you some things that you didn't know or that will help you as we go into this endeavor of online office hours and all of those different things. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat as we go through, and then we'll have a little bit of Q&A time afterward. Excuse me, but our goal is, Kate will probably end up driving the car here, and I'll moderate the chat. Feel free to put anything in there. In a moment here, I'm going to put in the slides in that chat, as well as share this out with everybody afterwards. All right, Kate, looks good. I can see it.
All right, I've not done it this way before, so if something goes awry, just let me know.
Cool.
All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about Hangouts. And so if you are familiar with the waffle at all, when you go to the waffle, you actually have 3 different icons that could mean possibly the same thing. So I just wanted to quickly go over what they mean. Hangout Meets is obviously just the video only. When you're sending out a link, that's the link you're sending out. Hangouts is like the original hub of just accessing the chat, accessing any video, and there's also phone capabilities. And there's a new chat icon that you might have noticed from this school year, which is just chat only. So when you go to your waffle and you click on these things, if you were to click on chat, you obviously only have access to chat. So here's like what my dashboard looks like when I pull up my chat. And then if you pull up Hangouts, you actually have all 3 things encompassed into one. So you have the video, the phone call, and the message. But if you click on the video call, which is what we're doing now, it's automatically going to take you to the next screen, which is the Google Hangouts, or the meeting part. So this is where you can schedule a meeting and send out a link. And so we're going to talk a little bit today first about how to schedule a meet. And there's actually 2 different ways to create a meet. And you can create a Hangout link via the app just by going straight here through the waffle, or you can create a Hangout link via your Google Calendar, which is what I recommend, because if you only create, and we'll talk about it as we go, but if you only create a link via the app, meaning through here, it's only accessible to those with a Southern email address within our domain. But if you do it through the calendar, anybody can access it. So if you're sending it out to parents, you're going to want to do it through number 2. I heard a question pop. Should I keep going?
I'm just putting in the presentation link. You're good.
Oh, okay. All right. So the first way is if you click on the meet symbol in your waffle, you're going to join or start a meeting. You create a name. So I just made mine test. And then just be aware, as I said, if you create a meeting this way through the app, you can only share that link, or actually people, no matter who you share it with, they will not be able to access your meeting unless they have an email within our school district. So this would be good for students and teachers, not so much for parents, but it's pretty easy to create. So if you're just meeting with students, this is probably your best way. The second way is to go through your calendar. So you would create an event just like normal. And then when you're creating your Hangout, or you're creating your event, you would go to more options. And then you would add conferencing, and it just gives you a Hangouts meet. Once you click on that, it automatically generates a link for you that will go on your calendar that you can share with parents, students, teachers, whomever. But this is the link. If you do it this way, this is the link that anybody can access it, whether they have our email address within our domain or not. So again, this is probably the best way if you're meeting with parents or someone outside of the district. Any questions so far?
We're looking okay.
Okay. Again, so if you need to go to your calendar to find the link, you just click on the event, and then right there where I've highlighted is the link that you can copy and paste. And that's where you can send it out in Canvas, or I have a screenshot here for K-8 teachers because they're not as familiar with Google Classroom. So if you're emailing this out to parents or students, you're going to want to use the link from your calendar event and not the link from creating it directly in the app. So once, like if you are creating, if you're using this to do office hours, this is where you could post it in Canvas. And you know what? One of the things I did forget was reoccurring event. Should I go ahead and get out of the app, Andy?
Yeah, show that because I think that's good.
Okay. Uh-oh. There we go. Being slow. Okay, so if I am going to create office hours that are a reoccurring event, let's say office hours, I'm going to want to go to more options, and then obviously add conferencing. And then I want to go right here and hit customize. And then if I want it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I can do that. Or I can do it every day of the week. And then it ends on, let's say we go back to school, let's say May 1st. And so then I've set it so that it repeats every day. And again, that's on customize. And then I just highlighted the days that I needed. But then I can change my time. Let's say I want to be available for 2 hours. And then I just hit save. And then that will be available with the same link every day for office hours. And then I can post those office hours, whether it's in Canvas or I can email that out. Just know that if you post it and you leave it there, students can come in and out of your meeting with you or without you. So you might want to post it in Canvas like right before they need it and then hide it so that they can't access that page again, so that you don't have students in there without you. Just a suggestion. Okay. All right, so one of the things that you can do is you can turn off a student's microphone if you hover over their picture, and then let's see if I can go back. Well, actually, I'm not sharing my entire screen, but if you look at someone's picture, like right now, if you look at Andy's little picture on the screen, you'll be able to see his microphone, and if you're the host, and if it wasn't red, you can make it red, or you can just ask everyone to go ahead and mute theirs. The only thing is you can't unmute someone because of privacy issues. But we did hyperlink something here so that you can pin, these are the directions to pin, mute, or remove people from your Hangout. So obviously, if you pin someone, you click the pin and then you can only see their image. And this talks about how to remove or how to mute. Okay, moving on. If you want to see all of your students at the same time, there is a Google extension or a Chrome extension called Google Meet Grid View, and you can add that to your browser. So if you can see, you see this little icon? Andy, can you see it?
Yep.
Yep. So I've added that by added that to my Chrome. So then when I right click it, I can remove it from Chrome, or I can manage my extensions or whatever I need to do. So you'll want to make sure you go into manage extensions, and you'll want to make sure that this is turned on, and then down here that this is turned on. Originally I tried it and it did not turn on for me, so I had to physically go in and turn that on. And then, so I made this little video that shows you how to do all of that, how to install it, how to look it up, and then make sure that your extensions are on. So I'm not going to play it because my computer tends to get really slow when I play a video, but this is available because I think you shared the link out, Andy, of the
Yep.
So that's available for you. And then when you go back into Hangouts, you're going to see this little grid symbol. And so you want to make sure this means it's turned off, because when I use the grid within large meetings, my computer has a major meltdown and nothing works. Last time I don't know, Andy, how many people were in that meeting? Like 60? And my computer, like closed captioning came on. Just my computer just had a huge meltdown and I couldn't do anything, so I had to restart it. So it does make your computer rather slow if you have a large group of people. But I don't know, maybe they're working the kinks out. But you also have these options to only show participants with video, highlight speakers, and include yourself in the grid. All right, so sharing is caring. So one of the best things about Google Meets or Google Hangouts is the ability that you can share your screen and students can share their screen as well. So by doing that, right before you get in, everyone saw this screen where you join now or present. So as a host, you could go ahead and click present before you enter the Hangout, or when you're in the Hangout over here on the right, you have this option where it'll say present now, and you can choose a window or your entire screen. Previously, in all of our other sessions, I have been showing my entire screen, meaning that like it takes over everything and I can't see the chat, I can't see anything. Today I'm trying a different way where I'm just presenting a window. So what you see is a separate window of the rest of my tabs and my Google Hangouts and all of those things so that I can go back to the chat. If Andy weren't with me right now, I could go back to the chat and I can see like Elizabeth Worley, she just typed something in the chat, which I've not been able to do before. And so when you are presenting, it's super helpful if you're going to present a document or slides that you do present in a different window. So I can go back and answer questions in the chat if Andy weren't with me. But because he's with me, I don't switch back and forth. But it can be a little intimidating if you can't see your screen and you hear the ding, ding, and people are trying to chat with you and ask questions because they're not comfortable opening their mic or whatever. And you can't go back and forth if you do your entire screen. So once you hit that present button, there's going to be this little screen, and I know it looks kind of small, but there's going to be a screen that pops up, and you're going to want to highlight that and select it where my arrow is pointing, and then once you hit that, you'll be able to share. But if you don't do that part, and we've had to walk a few teachers through it, and it's kind of hard to describe when you can't see it. We're like, oh, click on the little box of yourself, and it's difficult. So if a little box pops up, you're going to select that, highlight it, and then hit share, and then you can share your screen. Same thing for the students. So if you want to steal this slide and share your students, because when you present your screen, you're not going to be able to show them this part because obviously you haven't shared your screen until you've gotten beyond this part. So if they need to share their screen and they don't know how, if they're doing a project or something, then you are more than welcome to take the slide or take the slide deck and show them. The other thing is, if you're doing what I did today, I just chose a window. So these are all the windows that were open on my computer, and I just chose, okay, I want the slide deck. And then once I did that, I was able to present just my slide deck and not my entire screen. Okay, and then the last part is if you need to look into the settings. I know we're not recording students. I know we're recording today so that we can share this presentation with people that couldn't make it. But if you need to go into the settings, you hit we call this a little snowman down here, which is next to the present icon. And then you have access to changing the layout, which you could do like a tile, which is like all over the place, or a sidebar. You can do full screen. Closed captioning is a good idea. It falls under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, so it's a good idea to have turn on your captions whenever possible. So especially if you have any learning support students, that's something that you might want to put on because maybe they can't. You speak faster than they can process, so then they can read what you're saying. In the settings, you also have the ability to change your camera and mic settings. So if you have multiple cameras, or if your computer is really slow, you can change the definition on your camera, and it'll and for students too. So if you make it so that it's not the best setting, then your computer and your feed won't be as slow. And then there's also a phone option. So if someone can't come into the meeting, you just put their phone number in. It'll call their phone. It'll be a number that is not yours, and then they'll be able to listen to the Hangout instead of just necessarily coming in. So that was super fast, but that's the end. Were there any questions?
Yeah, we're going through some questions now. Kate. Okay, let me go back up here for a second. Erica asked a really good question about a code. So she said that some students were indicating there's a code, but not for all classes. If I remember correctly, do you remember where a code would be entered? Where I fuddle around with it?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
There's,
I think the code gets created if you create an announcement in the actual app.
yeah, here. Is it one of these? Then there's a pin right here for phone numbers.
So that's for phone numbers, right? But I thought in the app, like if you go to Hangouts or meet.google.com.
Oh yes, 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 yes. So let's go back to get a screenshot. No, where is it? Here is what you see, but I'll go back to the app. Ooh, here's all my meetings. Okay, let's pick a different one. Well, I don't know. I don't want to join another one. No. Sorry.
So that is a good example. While Kate is doing that, you can join multiple Hangouts at one time. So like if Jack and Michelle both have office hours at the same time, technically a student could go into two different links with that. And somebody brought this up at a leadership meeting the other night, and honestly, it will correct itself because as the teacher that would be in the same office hour, that you're going to probably tell them that you're talking differently. But it is possible. There's no way I mean, we can ask Greg Hunt if that can be shut off, but I don't believe so. Just a heads up, because I know a couple people had asked about that. You good, Kate?
Yeah, I'm just not getting a code.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's definitely a pin for the phone numbers. We'll send something out with that, Erica. That's a good question. Now, Brett, link letters without the dashes. No, you don't, Erica. No, if you put them in there in your calendar, they're gonna get that alert anyways.
Thank you, Andy.
It says in Meet, you can select a scheduled event, or you can enter a meeting code or nickname. So I'm guessing the meeting code. See where it says?
Yeah.
I think the code is literally just the link.
Interesting. Okay.
The meeting code is the string of letters at the end of the link. See where it says that?
Yeah. So you're right, Brett.
Just the string of letters. I was going to say, I don't think there's an actual code. It's just the link.
So Kelly asked, is there a way to get a list of students who were in the Hangout? I don't believe so. And Kate, maybe you can tell me.
No, I've been looking for that because we don't know who's coming to these things, and some principals are requiring a certain amount, and we just have no way to figure it out unless you literally have everyone say here in the chat, like physically say I'm here or just right here, and then you copy and paste the chat, put it in a doc, and then you could take attendance that way. I don't know. It sounds convoluted, but that's the only way I could think of. Because it'll say your name in the chat, like it'll say Kate Scholas here, right? It'll say your name as you text it in the chat.
Right.
That would be the only way I could think of, and it's a little.
Another way, I'm just throwing out ideas, is if you created like a quick form that you would post at the beginning, that they would go on and indicate here or not here, or you could just have them type their names in, like Nick said. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there is a way to get that archived. I think we're gonna go back. What we'll do, everyone, is go back to, so with announcements, if you're putting them into announcements, you would have to go back and delete the announcement. As I'm looking back, and you can't unpublish. What you could do if you wanted to post it in Canvas is post it like through a page or something like that, and then make it accessible or inaccessible whenever that time frame. I know that we're asking Kevin asked everyone to post things at the beginning of the week for those that are struggling with access, to be able to prepare for all of that. But if after it's over, if you wanted to wait until the morning of or the night before to post that, you can repost it, so you don't have to recreate each announcement. That's up to you. Unfortunately, I don't know that there's a really super easy way around that with Meet.
But Andy, I think what we're trying to figure out is if we're trying to prevent the kids from being able to be there when we are not, how are we going to do that if they already have the URL? Is there a way to do that, or is that we would have to create a new URL every time?
Kate, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, I was reading back through, and it sounds like some of you are doing the announcement. I know that, like, let me go back to the page. Ideally, like, I was talking to Ben Smith from the IU last night, and he was talking about how you would just create like a page actually or something, not an actual announcement, whether it's in Google Classroom or Canvas, and then you hide it when you don't want them in it, or you just, it's a reoccurring link, so you don't have to create a new one each time, but they're not going to have the link unless you post it each day, so you can either hide it or delete it and just repost it each time, because they have to go to that LMS anyways. So you could post it a few minutes before they start, or you could just hide it if it's a page. So like in Google Classroom, this is going to go away each day. They're only going to have access to it maybe 5 minutes before.
But that's really.
I did see someone say something about have them on that calendar link or invite. You do not want them on the calendar invite. That's the reason why you make it in calendar, because it's just a link, and then you can share that link. So if you create it in calendar, you do not want kids on that, on the calendar invite.
I think we were told to send a calendar invite to the kids.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Well,
definitely were told to do that.
Well, they probably meant well in saying that. They probably meant as in like that's how you need to make it accessible, but it probably wasn't thought about the fact that if you sent them on the calendar invite, then they're always going to have access to that room.
That's the only downside of sending the calendar invite. Like if that's a concern, that's where the value of posting it as a.
So the major fear of them being in the classroom is something that every teacher has talked about, no matter what. Like yesterday, I was talking to multiple teachers from different districts, and everyone has that concern. Technically, I don't know what the worst that could happen if they're in there without you. I mean, they're talking. I don't know, they can use foul language. I don't really know, because it's not like they're out and about. I think it's just the unknown that scares us, teachers, districts, because you don't know really what they're doing without you.
But if Hangouts is unlocked for them now, can't they just create their own Hangout meetings if they wanted to?
No, they can only access your links. They are not able to create their own or invite other students. They can only access your link. That feature has not been turned on for them.
Right. So if we already sent out our calendar invitations, can we delete that and it would make the link go away? Or if it's out, is it now?
Okay, let me go back to my screen. All right, so if I'm in here, let me go to something I created. So like today, if I have this, okay, I can take Andy off. I don't have to delete this. I still have my Hangout, right? And then here are the people that I've invited. I just remove them. So bye. So that I can still save the integrity of my link. So if you did include them, you can take them right off without changing your link or changing your calendar invite or event.
So good morning. This is Melissa. How's everybody doing today?
Good, Melissa. How are you?
Good. Kate and Andy, thank you so much for doing this. I'm learning a lot myself. There were several questions I heard about sending the Google Calendar versus my assumption is, if I understand correctly, you would create the calendar invite, but not add the kids, and then post that link in Canvas, correct?
Yeah, correct.
I think we're fine at this point either way. If as a teacher you're more comfortable doing it through Canvas, I think that's fine. We have some meetings later today with Kevin, so we'll ask that. But if you already created it, my guess is the kids have lots of ways to communicate with each other that we don't know about using our technology. But I completely understand the concern that, you know, as a teacher, you have the Hangout posted and they may be accessing that when you're not there. So whatever you're more comfortable with at this point, I'll check with Kevin and see what his thoughts are later today, as I'm sure Andy and Kate will too.
Yeah. So a couple of you are saying, I already have stuff coming up here. Is it okay just to keep with what you have today? Like, if you have sent it out through calendar invite, do that today and keep going with that. And, you know, like Melissa said, we can ask Kevin if he has a preference further with that. But don't try to recreate what you've already done for today, and we'll bring out clarification going forward with that. I just think if we're worried about that, a way to only allow the link to be present is through Canvas at different times. But if you already sent out invites to your kids and everything like that, go with what today brings, and then tomorrow will bring what that brings.
Hey, good morning, guys. I copied and pasted the link into Canvas and just made it repeating just for like today. I already had one 8:30 to 9:30. And I thought since I was the facilitator of the meeting, nobody could join on unless I activated it. Or no?
No, if it's posted, they can get in.
Okay.
No, it would be nice. Google Hangouts doesn't have that ability to notify you if kids have been in there.
So Michelle, if you wanted to come back to this meeting after we're all done and we've all signed out, you could do that. And you could go back through and see what we wrote. I think you can do that, or you can click on any of the links that are down below.
I did. It's just not. So I guess essentially it's just you have to recreate this link every week. You have to create this invite. Like now I have to go back into Canvas and delete what I've just did for my invitation for my Monday meetings. Like I have my pre-AP 8:30 to 9:30. So we've already met. So now I have to take that out and just wait to re-invite them next week. Essentially, that's what you're saying?
You mean as far as allowing kids in there when you're not?
Right. That's the only way to not allow kids to move it.
If you're fine with them being in there, it's fine. I mean, I don't know what they could do that would be so terrible besides maybe use inappropriate language. I don't know. It just seems to be the reoccurring uncomfortable theme among all teachers. So, you know, if you're fine with them being in there without you, then go for it.
Well, I told them to hang up and I would hang out until the other ones, if anybody else joined. But I told them, hang up. We talked a half hour. Bye. I don't know if they're going to rejoin. I can't see them just rejoining it, but I understand what you're thinking, legality or inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we just wait to see what we do from here.
Yeah, I mean, if just let it go, and if it seems to not be a problem, then it can stay in there as the reoccurring event, and the link can stay up.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Kate and I will hang around if anybody has specific questions, more specific questions. Lots of good stuff. We will send a follow-up, probably just an email or doc, something that has a little bit more to this, and we'll add this video to that YouTube playlist that I sent out earlier. Thanks to everybody for coming, and thank you all for the quick feedback. Really, really appreciate it.